Well, welcome everybody. This is Kim Evans. I am the owner of Two Gorgeous Integrated Health and Wellness, where I make women and men look absolutely fabulous through skincare and facials for 25 years. My spa is located in Lafayette, California. And I'm also accessible business online coach and holistic wellness health educator of K-Me Coaching. Welcome to Inspired Conversations Podcast. I am so honored to bring to you this evening an icon, a legend. Oh my God, I'm so excited to bring to you, oh my God, Mr. Curtis Evans, and he also happens to be my uncle. The fruit does not fall far from the tree of entrepreneurial success. Curtis Leland Evans. Mr. Curtis Evans, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Kim. How you doing?
I am so excited.
Great. I am so happy to be here and to be on the platform. Everybody said, "You're going to be on the podcast?" I'm on the podcast.
Mr. C is
great feeling to be here.
I'm so excited because this is season 1. We kicked it off really strong. And as I've been telling everybody, we end with the best. And you're one of the best. One of the legends, one of the icons. And I'm so excited to bring your history and everything in your experience to the world on this podcast. Actually, across 7 podcasts. I'm on 7 platforms. So, Mr. C, I'm so honored for you to say yes to my guest as we close out 2021 and as we cross over to 2022. Before I start my podcast, my guests always know, and my audience, I love to always start with a very short prayer. Is that okay with you?
Of course. I pray every day and night.
All right. To the viewers, I just like to always just start my show with a prayer. So I just want to just honor the Almighty One God. God, we want to just say thank you for your presence. We want to invite you in. We want to invite you into the show, and God, have your way. Creator, have your way. We are thanking you for being the omnipotent God, for being the most powerful God. We just love you, and we give you thanks, and we give you thanks to your grace, and we honor you, God, for that. And God, we just thank you for blessing the guest today, which is Mr. C, for his time and his experience to share with our viewers. And God, we think that the words that's going to be illuminated and shared today, that they go as far as the east, as far as the west, as far as the south, as far as the north, that somebody somewhere that is listening to this podcast, that the angels are sending forth this information, that they will be transpired and informed and illuminated and educated, and they can use something for this podcast to make their lives better. And God, thank you for giving me this voice, because without this voice, I would be nothing. I would be nothing without you. So God, we just thank you, the creator, for your power. God, thank you, Mr. C, Carla, Leland, Evans. Thank you for being on the show. Take it away.
Thank you, Kim, for the invite.
Yes.
And I just thank God for blessing me to get to this point in life.
Yes.
Each day I wake up, my first breath is, God, I want to thank you for my mother. My mother now is 103 years old, going on 104, and I'm with her 3/4 of the time.
Wow. You know,
she's a blessing.
I have to say, Mr. C, we're going to call you Mr. C, Curtis.
That's okay. I'm known by that more than Curtis.
His business, when you started your business, as a matter of fact, give us a little segue. When you started your business, you named your business Mr. C Coiffures, right?
Mr.
So
C Coiffures.
How did you come up with that name?
That name was brought about during the time my wife and I, we was crossing over San Francisco Bay Bridge, heading into what is called the North Beach area. And we were driving by and we saw this name, Mr. C, Mr. D, Mr. D's. She says, honey, that will be the name of your business. I had not opened yet, but then Mr. D, she said, Mr. C's. And that became my name, Mr. C's Coiffures.
I love it.
I'm still Mr. C's Coiffures to Mr. C's Hair.
And back in the day, define real quickly for the young viewers, what does Coiffures stand for? Because we don't see that.
Coiffures is a name that was very big at the time, but they sort of veered off from the name coiffures. Coiffures is hairstyling by a male.
Got it.
They have coiffures and coiffures and coiffures.
Got
But
it.
coiffures was hairstyling by a man.
I love it.
And that's what it's about.
So, Mr. C, take us back. 1974, 48 years. Let's round it at 5 decades. You've been doing hair. Oh my God. And you are still at the top of your game.
Yes.
Will you please explain, when you look back 5 decades, what do you see your vision? It's like, wow, from the bottom to the top, you are still here. I mean, tell us a little bit about that. How does that make you feel that you have crossed over a decade and another decade and another decade?
Another decade.
Where a lot of businesses have folded. 5 decades, and you're about to enter into 2022. How does that make you feel?
I feel as though I'm just getting started again. Everyone's, what's in your menu for pushing on? As I wake up each day with a plan and with my mother. And that's my driving wheel. Yes. And after that, I get dressed and I'm out the door. Each day it's a brand new vision, whether it's in the hair business or the food business.
And look how good you look. I mean, no one will be able to tell your age. I'm not going to tell your age, but I mean, look how good you look. See, and this is what happens when you have God in your life, family in your life, love in your life, respect and honor your mother.
Yes.
And your vision and your mission makes room for you, for your guests, for your gifts. And it's like, this is something that young people need to see. It's like, look at you 5 decades later. It's like, wow.
I'm hearing that every day. What some people will say, you're not Mr. C, you're her son. I said, I'm thinking I'm Mr. C. But
so I have to quickly just interject in here, and I have to tell my little testimony. This is my uncle. I love him to death. And he's been in the beauty business, and I actually been in the facial and makeup business. And I never forget, Mr. C actually was my first job. You were my first job that I had.
Right.
And I never forget, we had a conversation in Mom's kitchen. I think it was during the holidays. And I was like, Uncle, I'm confused. I was working for an insurance company at the time, and I really wasn't happy. And I said, I really want to go into skincare, but I'm confused. But then I don't want to give up my corporate job because I need the money. But I'm more happier when I'm doing Mary Kay and putting on makeup. And I asked you, what should I do? Do you remember that conversation?
Oh, yes.
And the answer to that was, do what your heart says. And the money.
Turn your passion into making money. And that's it. You'll never get tired.
And when you told me that in the kitchen as we was cutting our dessert to have our sweet potato pie, I said, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do then. And I'm going to go ahead on and I'm going to go to cosmetology school. I'm a licensed esthetician. And I'm going to follow my passion. And I've been following my passion, and my passion has given me permission 25 years later. So the fruit is far from the tree. My uncle has been in the business for 5 decades, and I've been in the business for 25 years. So I'm so excited. So Mr. C, let's roll it a little bit. What do you see hair salons transitioning to in 2022? Where do you see them going? If they're going to be successful, what are 3 things they're going to need to have?
They must know the root of the hairstyle. What you see on TV is 90% braids and hair attachments. And most of the hairstylists today, they want to get their flat iron out and start flat ironing, and the electric curling iron and start curling their hair backwards to make their hair blend in with the hair that's draping behind it. Mm-hmm. And I see it every day. The newscasters, the men are different. The stylists for men have sort of gone from 0 neckline, 0 taper down, and comb overs. But the women are all wearing braids and attachments. And they have left the main focus of grooming and taking care of the natural hair.
Absolutely.
And that's where it's at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So are you saying that if you really want to rise up and to be different in hair, come back, and that is addressing natural hair?
That's
And
right.
it don't matter what color you are, white, brown,
Whatever.
red,
Yes.
Black, African, American, Caucasian, it doesn't matter, but really going back to natural
hair culture.
and we're seeing that revelation now. And I'm seeing that young people, young hairstylists, if they master a part of their finesse into really profiting on natural hair care, I think that that's going to give them longevity. I really
definitely.
Now, real quickly, as it comes to men, because barbering is cutting and shaving. Do you see a difference in terms of men's hair on how we're going to transition into 2022? Or is it similar, the same?
2021 and 22, for men, it's going to be sort of similar, the same. Many of the men have gone into braids and dreads, and African American, and about 10% of Caucasian and Hispanics, they like the dreads as well as the braids. But it's just a matter of time, they will get cut off and they'll need some natural hair care.
Yes.
And so that's what it is. Going to 21 and 22 and on into 23, I can still see men wearing braids. Stevie Wonder has worn braids until pretty soon his hair has gone from here down, but he's still trying to wear the braids.
Absolutely. So let's talk about ethnicity. What I love about, I think that have made you a cut above the rest, Mr. C, is that I know as a little girl working in your salon, is that you always worked on multi-ethnic hair. You did white hair.
Yes.
And people don't seem to understand the majority of your clientele back then was Caucasian hair.
You better believe it.
You was the man on the corner. Miss Beasley, Miss Godfrey. I mean, I could remember, and on and on and on. I mean, you did white hair, but then you also did black hair care. So I would also have to add, if you want to be mainstream going into 22 in the next 10 years as a hairstylist, is to be able to do everybody's hair.
And
because
that's what it's
you
all
were
about.
known for doing everyone's hair. And I think that was your trademark. That was your trademark. In Albany, California, on the corner of 1254 Salons.
I built a reputation there that still clad in gold. I answered a call over doing the other job on Friday. And that was a client. When I walked in, she says, "Are you Mr. C?" I said, "Yes. We used to come to you years ago, myself and my sister that you're going to work on today." And that's, we just talked about back in the day.
Back in the day.
I laid a foundation. But those days are far in the past. And now their grandkids are coming to.
Right. Wow. I love it. I absolutely love it. I witnessed that myself. I mean, you did women and then their kids came in and their kids came in.
Definitely.
That's a recipe of success when you can work one generation and then another generation comes in and another.
They just grow up. They just keep coming in.
Keep coming in.
Yes.
I mean, and that is just success on success. So Mr. C, take us real quickly from Rue to Revlon to Jerry Curl, because you were the platform hairstylist in hair show. And it's so funny, again, because fruit does not fall far from the entrepreneurial tree. I became a platform makeup artist in salons and in hair shows, New York, San Diego. And it's like, and my forte is makeup, your forte is hair. So take us back in the day when you were Rue and then Revlon. I remember they flew you all over the world from coast to coast. And then you ended with Jerry Curl. Take us back from that moment. What was that like?
Back then, when I first got my license, I have to say I was good at what I did. A lot of people say I was better than I was. But really, a lot of things that I did, I sort of faked it along the way. But I was first hired by Rue. And they was overseen by Revlon. And I went from one company to another. in which I traveled throughout the continental United States, Alaska, Hawaii, everywhere. And I was supposed to go to European, but my father at the time was ill and I didn't go there. I was to do a trade-off with Jingles School. 3 times I had the offers to go to Jingles and trade off my experience to get some of their experience. But my father fell ill at the time. And I was dedicated to my dad, so I didn't go. And so I just traveled the United States, but a lot of companies wanted me to leave my business and work for them. But my father says, don't ever leave your business and go work for another business when you can fly on the weekend to do what you do for the companies. And that's what I did.
But that was such a
I was excited.
That was such a pivotal moment. I think that's what set you apart as the premier hairstylist in the Bay Area.
And
not only that, it led to such a deep credibility with Revlon and Rue. And that was the premier product that you use in your hair salon, if I remember correctly. But you were the key platform hairstylist. Because
I work with
oh my gosh, because when we do the shows, right? When we do the shows, I mean, you have educators, but then you had the key platform stylist.
Yes.
You were the key platform, a Black man back then that we did not have African-American males being represented. And Mr. C, you was being represented 4 decades ago.
Definitely.
4 decades ago.
I would work on the stage across from Vidal Sassoon.
That's right.
And the guy, Paul Mitchell, we all worked on the same tour. They would be across the stage from me and I'd be on another stage. But the thing that set me apart, I'm so proud of, they would, after the shows, they would all say, you want to go upstairs, Mr. C? We're going to go upstairs and get hot. No, I don't do that. So I just thought about, I just stayed to myself and I never did that. And now they are all gone and I'm still here.
And you still here.
I still got my business that I've been working in for 48 years.
Wow.
Same place.
I'm still looking forward to know when you're going to do your apprentice and your mentorship for our young men and young girls coming. Mr. C, you know, that's something that you should actually start before you actually leave this earth is your mentorship program, because you have so much to say. But what I want to skip to real quickly is what has been one of your most amazing hair stories? I know you have had hundreds, but can you just pick one amazing hair story that really have had a great impact on you?
Yeah, we were in, I think we was down in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I was doing a haircut and relaxing.
Right.
And so one of the instructors there said, we want to bleach the hair, lay this hair up blonde. So I says, I don't think you want to do that for the damage it's going to cause. So this one lady said, well, Curtis, don't take a seat. Let me and him do this. So I went, took a break. I'll never forget, I got peanuts and a soda from the machine and I sit outside. And about an hour later, I saw the girls coming out. Oh God, I said, what's wrong? So one lady said, oh, Mr. C, her hair fell out in the sink. In New Orleans at the time. And I said, oh my God, no, she didn't. But that's what happened there. And another story, I went to Florida. I went to Florida and the company would always get me a first class ticket. I'd cash it in and I'd get 2 coach tickets. So I took this young lady with me and I was flying all night. I got there and little did I know I was going to be tested. And so they tested me that day and she says, Curtis, what happened? I said, what you mean? You flunked the test. I said, did I? And that was the most embarrassing thing for me. Everyone said, Mr. C flunked the test. I said, I did. I said, flying from San Francisco to Florida, that's a long ride. So I had jet lag. I'll take the test the next day. So they all went to the mall on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I stayed in my room and I studied. So that next day on Monday, I went to class and I took the test all over, in which I passed. Mm-hmm. And little did I know, we had the vice president of Revlon in the audience.
Wow.
And so they was asking everybody different questions. So when it came to me, I said, well, I noticed that the instructor said, do this particular procedure that way, but the proper way to do it. And I just explained that to them. And so after we took a break, the vice president says, I noticed the questions and I noticed the answers. And the gentleman from San Francisco had the answers that we were looking for. But of course, after that, my name was Mud. But it was funny, but those are two times that I definitely would never, ever forget.
Wow.
That sticks in my memory.
If you could roll it back and you could change careers, and we're going to get to the full part in a minute, would you have chosen hair all over again?
I would take the same route then that I take now. Both of my passion, food and hair. It was the food that connected me with my wife at the time, Marquita, my daughter Lizzy's mother. And after that, she pushed me into going to beauty college. And when I finished beauty college, then I began to look for a place. And we stumbled up on 1254 Solano Avenue in Albany. And that's where I made my home. And that's where it is today.
So, Mr. C, back then, 4 decades, in 1974, it was really challenging for Black businesses to rise.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Not only that, it was very challenging for Black businesses to go before real estate or realtors to begin to kind of negotiating their own deals when it came to commercial property and commercial real estate. So how was it that you were so successful to get the corner spot?
That I don't know. I can't answer. I don't really know because I found myself there. And I became friends with the owners of the building. And Miss Mimi Chalamedas told me, she said, you know, Curtis, you're so good with the business. I'm going to leave it in the will for you to buy the building firsthand. You can get the first choice. Of course, I forgot what she had said then, but her son, Don, who brought it to my attention years later, he said, my mother passed away, but I'm going to answer her request. And so he did. So along with my sister and my mother, we purchased the corner.
I think that should be a great inspiration for people, period, and particularly brown folks to know that where there's a will, there's a way.
There's a way.
Because you did that 5 decades and you
and how I got there, I don't know.
And how you got there and you are still standing and you own the building that you work in. That is the hallelujah, glory, hello.
And I can't believe it sometimes. Everybody, many of years, many companies wanted to buy me out. Wow, the banks wanted the corner, the real estate corner. I said, you know, it's not for sale.
Amen.
But now they don't bother me as much now. But so, I'm just happy to be there.
So, Mr. C, what keeps you motivated in the hair business?
In the hair business, what keeps me motivated is the uneverlasting changes. A woman want to change her hair. She want a different style. So once you learn the fundamental cuts, it's only 3 cuts, long, short, medium.
Long, short, medium. There's only 3 cuts, y'all. Long, short, or medium.
Right. And you just blend around it and blend the 2 or 3 together and you got your look. And that's what it's all about. There are no cuts that I can't do. I just look at it or sketch it and just do it.
Oh, Lord, I love it. I love it.
I love equally as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So now, 5 decades, we rounded it up. It's 4, but we're going to round it up. We're about to enter 2022. We're going to 2020. We're going to 2021. Now we're about to go 2022. And now we're pivoting from hair and we're going into the cafe.
Right.
Lizzy's Cafe.
Yes.
What was the motivating factor for you to pivot and to add the cafe to your hair salon? Talk about it.
That was an ideal that it sort of just transpired and happened. I opened the cafe for Marquita, my wife, and she grew kind of ill. And later on, God took her home. At that time, Lizzy was too young to run it. So I rented it to Jody. After Liz finished college, she wanted the place. I said, Liz, just take your time. You'll get the place sooner or later. And so sooner came. And so the city and the health department put the pressure on me to change it. It wasn't big enough. And so they had Jody to vacate at the time. So Leah said, well, Dad, we're going to expand it. We're going to put it in my name and we're going to make it go. That took 4 years to renovate. But in those 4 years, I was not standing around twiddling my thumbs. Yes. I had 2 other jobs that I created for myself. Hairstyling and hairstyling for the deceased. Mm-hmm. And that's what kicked me off. And it's doing that today.
So we're going to pause right there. We're going to get back and end with Lizzy Café. Now we're talking about restoration.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It is so funny because fruit doesn't fall from the tree. You're my greatest mentor. You always have been. I love you.
Thank you.
My uncle does restoration when it comes to hair. We won't say restoration, but we'll call it, what do we call it, Mr. C? Is it restoration or reconstructive, or what do we call that?
Reconstructive of the hair.
When you do hair for the gone that have left, that have transformed over to the other world, and you make them look amazing their last time here on this earth. So what was that like? We won't spend too much time on it, but I'm telling you, Mr. C, you are the man of the Bay Area. When people die, funerals call you. You just did one last week, and you make the deceased look like they are alive and beautiful for the funeral. So what was that like when you were starting to do that kind of work as part of your hair design?
Well, it started with a dream.
Hairstylist.
Yeah, it started with a dream.
Yes.
And after the dream, I woke up and I was scared to death. I said, God, what am I dreaming this dream? Yeah. And after that, about a month later, I got a call to come to Sacramento for one of my clients who I met death, a car hit her. Okay. And I went up there, I was scared to death. And I took a young lady friend with me, and I took care of that young lady. And I've been getting calls ever since. I told my mother, I'm not doing that again. My mother said, well, you don't open the door to it now. And after that, the phone never stops ringing.
And so now you kind of do that with confidence. You can walk into a funeral home.
Oh, yes.
You can do someone's hair and you can make them look as glorious and beautiful as if they were alive. And I think that is an ultimate gift for you to have, to do that. And it's so amazing because I've been given that same gift. And so I'm a restorative makeup artist, as you are a restorative hairstylist. And I've done Richmond and Hayward and San Francisco, and some of my clients that have called me and said, Kim, I need you to come over and do the makeup for my mother or for someone who has passed away. My family, some family members that I've done, and I make them look amazing one last time before they are totally leaving this earth. So, Mr. C, that is a gift that God is giving you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That. Because you've been doing that as long as you have had your salon work.
Yes. 10 years after I opened my salon, there I got started.
So you have your hair, you're restorative makeup artist for those that are transitioning, have gone and left this earth. And then now we take it to Restaurant Café. Tell us a little bit what's on your menu.
The menu. Yes. What kicks us off is jambalaya. And I have a secret recipe for mac and cheese.
Woo!
And we have peach cobbler.
Yes.
And I got a new combination, blueberry cherry.
Woo! Is that on certain days or?
Oh no, we have that all during the week. We make a double order of that and we sell out during the week. We sell out a peach cobbler every week. All right. And we sell macaroni and cheese. And then occasionally I run out of jambalaya.
But then you have the main one that's on there, if I recall, is it not called the patty melt?
We got the patty melt. That's my wife's, Marquita's traditional sandwich.
Yes.
So we still sell that. So that's our key-in sandwich from Marquita.
So let me ask you, out of all the items that are on your menu, which one is your favorite?
Oh, jambalaya, catfish, and the cobblers.
I love it. I love it.
There are some great tasting dishes.
So, Mr. C, if someone wants to come and enjoy some of these delicacies in your cafe, how should they come? What is the address and what is the website on how they order?
The address is 1254 Solano Avenue.
All right.
And we're now in transitioning 1252 Solano into 1254.
Okay.
There we will have restaurant and a wine and beer bar on the same premises. That's in the mail today.
I love it. Yes. And do we have a website that people can look at the website?
It's I think it's Marquita. I can't think of the website, but Liz, my daughter Liz, she knows that.
Don't worry, I'll make sure to have that in the show notes. Yes. And on the podcast, that the people that are listening, I'll be able to have that in the information. Yes. Just click it below.
But you can order stuff to go, or you can come in now and sit down and relax to beautiful jazz music. And we even got blues and we got Zydeco.
I love it. I remember.
Oh man, that's great. And we can hold 90 people in the building.
So let me ask you, Mr. C, how have you been able to pivot from this COVID? How this year, 2022, how that affected you being, I'm assuming that you probably have been like more people wanting to come as a grab and go, you know, yes. Cafe, you know, they come in, they put their orders and they go. How has that affected as at all?
This pandemic, I must say, it hasn't really been so bad for me because the food business was down on one end, yes. But my other two entities were up.
Yes.
And so when I get a call, I just tell my cooks and my waitresses that I'm going to answer a call, and that's what I do. Amen. Like last week, I answered 3 calls.
Wow.
And the people called me today. One called Saturday and thanked me for my work. And the other ones tried to thank me today through her tears. Amen. Say, as long as her mother been living, her color was never so beautiful as it was. And I told her I would call her another day and let her talk to me because she was crying on the phone. And so I didn't lead her into the conversation any longer than that. But those 2 entities, they kept me busy. Amen. Really, I'm busier now than I've been in the past.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Mr. C, as we begin to close out this podcast, where would you like to lead us? What is next for Mr. C?
What is next? As I open up the wine and bar, I want to push my daughter Liz into the future there. Where when I'm out doing my other businesses, she can take over for me as well as her leading the restaurant.
Amen.
She can lead the restaurant team and then the team that will work mingling on the avenue, wine and bar.
Are we bringing mingling on the avenue back? Because
yes.
That was so hot before COVID.
Yes, amazing. That is back. That's going to be on our advertising sign. Mingling on the avenue.
Mingling
at Lizzy,
on the avenue.
Cajun Café, wine and beer lounge.
I love it.
And it's a beautiful way that we're going to add French doors leading over to the other side.
Woo! And so what is next for hair? In your hair business, what is next in 2022?
20 and 22, I'm going to upgrade my salon. I got a new chair, new cabinets on the wall, and I'm going to just continue to practice and sell what I've been selling. It's working. Mm-hmm. Women like the short haircut. Now we've gone back 20 years to short haircuts. The wave nouveaux is now what was the Jerry curl, and I can't keep up with it. African-American women want the wave nouveaux. Caucasian women want the tight curly look.
I love it.
So usually I'm off on a Monday, but I got to do 2 people on Monday to keep up with it, you know.
I love it.
So,
and what would you say, what would you like to add and leave us with in terms of hair care? What is the ultimate as we cross the ethnicity lines of all ethnicity? what would you like to share some advice that can help all of us to have healthy hair?
Well, now they have a tremendous amount of products out there. You massage your scalp, oil your scalp, and keep the ends trimmed, and you'll win it. There's no stop.
Mhm.
For Black, white, Asian, and so forth. And then you can shape it up into any style that you want.
Amen.
But of course, when you look on TV now, all you see is the loop lock curls. And everybody got hair here and the hair coming from here down. That's okay too. But I wish them well, and that looks good on a lot of the women.
Well, I love it. It has been an amazing time, Mr. C. Thank you. Is there
Yes.
anything else, last words that you would like to share with the audience before we close out the show?
I just like to share with the audience that those of you listening and know me, my reputation, I just want to thank you for patronizing me over the years. And as I move forward into my businesses and so forth with my daughter, I want you to patronize us and patronize my daughter, Lizzy, and keep us in your mind and in your prayers. And I want to just say thank God for what he has blessed me to do. And oh God, please my mother.
Amen.
Yes.
Well, I want to just add, it has been a pleasure, this podcast show, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
So much from my uncle, because this is why I am successful today of 25 years as a licensed esthetician.
Thank you so much.
Professional makeup artist, which I have learned from my uncle, Mr. C.
Yes.
And podcast viewers, don't worry, I will leave his information in the show notes. And for those of you who would like more information about KME coaching, please reach out and let's have a strategy call. Or if you are in the Bay Area and you'd like to stop in for a clinical facial or a relaxing massage, hey, we're in Lafayette, California. Thank you very much for watching. May you all have a blessed Merry Christmas as we enter into 2022. And Mr. C, God bless you. And
one
thank you for being a guest on Inspired Conversation.
Thank you. And one other thing, for those who want to have wedding processes and so forth, call Lizzy and she can book appointments for you. We can hold up to 90 to 100 people sitting outside the patio and etc.
Absolutely. All
right.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you so much for watching, and God bless and have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And Merry Christmas to all.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye, Kim.